The National Diet is where members who represent the people make the decisions that affect and better the country.
極めて深刻に受け止めなければならないと思いますが、総理、深刻に受け止めておられますか。
経済の好循環もしっかり取り戻さなければならない、こうした問題を深刻に受け止めながら、さまざまな政策をしっかり進めてまいりたいと考えています。
Allow us to introduce the National Diet and what it does. On May 20th, 1947, the first session of the Diet, as we know it today, convened, sessions that continue to this day. What exactly is the Diet? The Constitution of Japan places sovereignty firmly in the hands of the people. It also mandates the separation of powers. Government is divided into the legislative, executive, and judicial branches, and institutes a system of checks and balances. By ensuring that each branch is independent of the others, the system prevents the concentration of power and its abuse. The Diet mandate is lawmaking, the Cabinet is tasked with administration, and the Supreme Court with adjudication. The Diet is the principal seat of power. It is composed of members who are elected directly by the people. Article 41 of the Japanese Constitution holds that the Diet shall be the highest organ of state power and shall be the sole lawmaking organ of the state. The Diet is bicameral, consisting of two chambers, the House of Representatives, or lower house, and House of Councillors, or upper house. The bicameral system is devised so that the passing of laws and the national budget will be made with great care and caution. In principle, when the two houses come to an agreement, it becomes the will of the Diet. The bicameral system also has the advantage of better reflecting the diverse opinions of the people and their interests. Let's examine some differences between the two houses. For instance, the terms of office and of eligibility for office are not the same. The term of office for a lower house member is 4 years, but because it can be dissolved at any time, this chamber is more susceptible to the pervading public mood and opinion. In contrast, the upper house cannot be dissolved, and because its members serve 6-year terms, it allows for inquiries and deliberations to be made from a long-term perspective. Known as the Chamber of Wisdom and Review, the upper house is expected to provide oversight of acts passed by the lower house that may be inappropriate or excessive, or serve to make up for their inadequacies. The National Diet is where members come together to discuss and determine national objectives and how to achieve them through the political process. By sponsoring and submitting bills, Diet members are a proactive component in the legislative process. Collectively, they serve as the primary decision-making body on issues of national importance, performing such duties as making laws, passing the national budget, ratifying international treaties, and selecting the Prime Minister. Diet members must heed the mandate of the people, which is expressed through elections, petitions, and lobbying, and strive on the people's behalf to reflect the people's will on the government. Since lawmaking is a central task for the Diet and its members, let us now examine how laws are actually made and follow the enactment process. The Cabinet or individual Diet members submit draft bills to either the Speaker of the House of Representatives or the President of the House of Councillors. The Speaker or President selects the appropriate committee to discuss the contents of the bill and commissions its deliberation. Because the entire Diet cannot examine every bill that is submitted for enactment, it is sent to a committee, a smaller group of Diet members with specialized knowledge relevant to the bill. Thus, it is in the committee that bills undergo careful scrutiny and discussion. Those that are permanently established are called standing committees. Those established as needed are called special committees. Nearly every standing committee is matched with a specific government agency. For instance, the Committee on Judicial Affairs covers the Ministry of Justice, while the Committee on Environment oversees the Ministry of Environment. Each House has 17 standing committees at present. In addition to these committees, the House of Councillors has investigation committees, which are engaged in an extensive long-term inquiry into issues regarding national policy. Upon concluding their investigation, they then propose bills on their own or submit their recommendations to a lawmaking committee.
地方交付税法等の一部を改正する法律案の両案を一括して議題といたします。まず、政府から順次趣旨説明を聴取いたします。
A committee begins deliberations when the bill sponsor presents the bill's contents and merits, as well as his or her reasons for sponsorship. Individual committee members then question the sponsor over points requiring clarification or possible problems once the bill is enacted.
これより質疑に入ります。質疑のある方は順次ご発言願います。
令和6年度までとなっている地方一般財源総額実質同水準ルール、特に交付団体ベースが重要でございますが、これを今後も堅持、拡充していく決意を含め、大臣のご見解をお伺いします。
令和6年度に向けても地方自治体がさまざまな行政課題に対応しつつ、行政サービスを安定的に提供できるよう骨太の方針に沿って必要な一般財源総額を確保してまいります。
Sometimes public hearings are held, with experts and concerned parties invited to comment on a bill. A committee may also recommend revisions to a bill being deliberated. Thus, every bill is examined from a variety of angles and then voted on.
地方交付税法等の一部を改正する法律案について採決を行います。本案に賛成の方の挙手を願います。多数と認めます。よって本案は多数をもって原案通り可決すべきものと決定いたしました。
Following committee deliberations, the bill is submitted to a plenary session of the Diet.
まず委員長の報告を求めます。
In the plenary session, the committee chair reports on the bill's deliberation proceedings, and its pros and cons are debated if necessary. Then, the bill is put to a vote.
採決の結果、両法律案はいずれも多数をもって原案通り可決すべきものと決定いたしました。
採決をいたします。本案に賛成の諸君の起立を求めます。過半数と認めます。よって本案は可決されました。
The bill, passed in one house, is then submitted to the other house. There, it will go through an identical process of deliberation and, if passed, will become law. In principle, a bill endorsed by both houses becomes law. If one chamber's vote is at odds with the other, a conference committee of both houses is convened in an attempt to reach a compromise. A bill that becomes law is promulgated by the Emperor and announced in the Government Gazette. The law goes into effect at that point. In addition to its lawmaking powers, the National Diet is mandated with the authority to determine the national budget, ratify treaties, and select the Prime Minister. Japan's national finances are paid out of the taxes collected from the people. Thus, one of the vital tasks of the Diet, by deciding the national budget, is to determine how tax revenues are spent. The government compiles a draft budget and submits it first to the lower house. It is then carefully reviewed by the budget committees of the two houses. And if approved in plenary sessions of both chambers, the national budget becomes official. If the two houses do not agree, a conference of both houses is held to discuss the matter. If the two houses still cannot come to an agreement, then the resolution of the House of Representatives prevails over that of the House of Councillors. The Diet also examines the government's revenues and expenditures accounts. The upper house holds its inquiry into accounts as a particularly important responsibility. Ratifying treaties is another important task of the Diet. While the Cabinet has the authority to conclude treaties with foreign countries, it must then submit the treaty to the Diet for ratification. The Diet also designates the Prime Minister, who is chosen by Diet vote from among the members of the Diet.
私は皆さんと一緒にこの歴史の大きなうねりを乗り越え、次の世代にこの日本という国を着実に引き継いでいきます。
The House of Representatives can pass a no confidence vote against the Cabinet if the former believes the latter is not fulfilling its responsibilities. If a no confidence vote is passed, either the Prime Minister must dissolve the lower house within 10 days or the Cabinet must resign en masse. In this way, the Cabinet depends on the support of the Diet for its existence and is responsible for closely coordinating with the legislature. This arrangement is known as the parliamentary cabinet system. Another important task of the Diet is to deliberate on written petitions submitted by citizens. Petitions are forwarded by Diet members, screened by a committee, and then sent to a plenary session of the Diet. If passed, the petition is delivered to the Cabinet for further action. The petition system allows citizens to make their will directly reflected in the Diet. The National Diet. While it serves as a political stage upon which Diet members discuss and determine the course of the nation, many others are involved in its activities. You can find the secretaries, stenographers, and security guard, as well as the men and women who serve in the running of the Diet, those that assist in the making of policies and laws, and the staff who manage the building's equipment and facilities. The National Diet, then, is the sum total of the work of many individuals. It is a place where representatives of the people deliberate on national policy and issues of national importance. As such, the Diet is based on the will of every citizen and is entrusted with the task of shaping the future of Japan.